Market. Hey everybody, DayTraderRockStar here. HPS watch list coming up for the week of. It's going to be. We're getting close. We're getting close to December 25th here. We're going to be a week before Christmas here. We're entering a very bullish part of the December, the Christmas Santa Claus rally here. The last 5 days and the first 2 days of January. And we have a Christmas, pre-Christmas week next week. Things look pretty good going into next week. The market has not gotten spooked by the Fed. Now there's talk of 3 interest rate hikes next year. Everything seems to be doing really well. And I keep on banging the drum for more upside. And I'm not being careless in this. I'm just, I've seen a lot in the markets. I've seen the markets get enthused. I've seen when they're bored. I see these rotations and cycles and the psychology that plays on the markets. And just, right now, we're making all-time highs. We have a new president, new administration. I feel, for me, and again, this is not a political thing, because it was such a dividing thing. But I think the market here kind of sees through all that BS, Everyone out there trying to argue their point and whose candidate's better and stuff. But the market doesn't make that, decision based on your beliefs and whatever you believe in. The market reacts on fundamentals, technicals. It sees out there in the future. It prices things in. There's more of a math approach to this, science and math, instead of just guessing. And, that's what a lot of people go through when we talk about, breakouts and new lows. Everything is relative and everything is measured out, but to predict a pullback this early in the game is pretty hard to do. So I still think there's a lot more bullishness left in this market. We haven't really even gotten to a point where I'd be nervous. I think that the people are still not nervous enough about missing the rally, and then we need to see those people in and get involved. Sure, we might have these short-term pullbacks like today. It was just a drag. But don't look for much, So, again, today, nothing really going on. It was actually quadruple witching. The market here started off, gapped down a little on the SPY. And I think it was just because of, we have some price in it. I don't know what, I think the futures are up slightly. But fair value here measured us down a little. We started off here kind of on a little negative note on the S&P. And we've just kind of drifted all day. There was no exciting setups. The tradeometer actually started picking up these setups really well, so that had a really great day, the tradeometer. But overall, we're not looking at anything normally that we look at, and this is the important part of this video right now, and this is going out probably most to everyone. And then the second part of the video will be the setups for next week. But this first part I like to call market radar, or just put a little more education in the first part and stuff. Well, today, every week we put out the HPS setups, and those setups are really based on a certain criteria. It has to fall into a criteria of one of our plays, our setup plays. We call those the playbook plays. And they could be divergences, they could be patterns and channel trades and breakdowns and bounces, and there's all kinds of combinations that we look for. But it's pretty exact, and it doesn't give us much room to wander and to guess. So that's what's great about the HPS, is just waiting for that setup. And when that setup's there, the proof is in the pudding. That's the thing. We can go back and we do this real time. And we see these setups on the big chart and we understand, all right, that's what that is. I could define this because it's a divergence. We know what a divergence is compared to any other time in the chart, which you won't have it. And those times where you have those divergences are the times you'll see the biggest moves start from those levels. Now that's, again, a great indicator to go by. It doesn't always show up, but when it does show up, you're usually looking at the best trading opportunities you will have in a long time. When you show up on the daily like this. Now we don't have that happening. The daily here is kind of extended. Maybe we're starting to roll over a little. Maybe we're flagging out. It's just, the one other thing is I think there's going to have to be a little bit more news, bad news, to kind of trigger any significant sell-off in this market. They're already starting to price in 3 interest rate hikes in 2017. But anyway, that's the tail of the tape right now. Weekly's kind of extended. But it's going to be hard to, to gauge this as a short-term high, medium-term high, long-term high, high, or we got 20,000 above us. And 20,000 is right above us. I say next week we have a good shot of actually testing that, and maybe earlier in the week too. Just seeing today's drift today doesn't mean that it's going to just take a little just to get us going back in the upside. The daily, the one thing we want to look at is the hourly. And the hourly on the SPY here has just gotten oversold. I mean, this is basically, our first hourly in a while. The last time the hourly got oversold, we had this nice big rally. Here we've had a kind of a coiled, we call it coiled channel pullback. There's a series of lower highs on this. And we kind of like just make a series 3, 1, 2, 3. And when you get down to 4 in this underlying channel here, we tend to look for that breakout to the top side of that channel. So, it has a little picture, it has a little feel of this on the pullback. And yeah, I expect it to move higher. And possibly even Monday on that 60-minute time frame. Daily could be up here and embedded. It's not going to give us any good until we get a first rotation and we start to see divergences again. But speaking about divergences, that has been the moneymaker, I think the stocks have been coming in pretty clean and clear over the last couple of weeks. So I think it's definitely a good time to do that. We've also been focused on the trading the SPY options. We had a couple of good trades on that. I actually took a long today, which expired. It was kind of a gamble going into a gap up, and we didn't get that gap up actually. But I have a feeling that if you took some SPY calls into next week, I think you're going to do well with these. I didn't take them though. So we want to tell you what's working. Now, I do about 6, 7, 8 hours of research and just going through scans and stuff. And again, it has to really fall into a, in the criteria of HPS. And if it doesn't, I don't want to just bring you stuff because I have my own personal, opinion on it. Sometimes we do talk about personal stuff, but most of the time these are scientific setups. I say scientific, but we're talking technical setups that we've defined, and we know that they give above average return when they set up, and a better success rate also. So I was just going through when I do my scans. One thing I notice is like, wow, we had so many. If you look back on any stock, and I just put up random stocks, like I was going through Motorola, and I looked back and I said, all right, this is nice. Well, what really defined the breakout here? Well, there was underlying trend line here. There was also kind of a small little divergence here also, right here, and this is the only time you'll see these divergences. When you do look at a chart and you back test your own simple way. I look back here and I say, all right, that's easy enough channel to understand, but really was the last low before we started moving higher? And what can I read into that? Well, automatically I see there was a divergence here. And that's something you don't see, unless you're going to get a big reversal. In this case, it pushed back up. Now, we continue to talk about these and show these because it's just, you want to have that embedded, ingrained in you, Well, we've been going chasing these stocks. And we go through the same ones a lot over and over again because they become, known to us, and it's very easy to just get back in them. We know how they flow. This was fascinating. This was what we considered a double bottom divergence. And even though we didn't maybe tag the bottom here by an exact amount, we definitely saw a bigger cross up here on the stochastics. It really pointed that out. So there's a little divergence there, and a good one. And that's, again, we actually had this trade off this divergence. And we had, but look at that. Look at the return. So when you do look at these big returns, we look at that. So my question to you is, do we continue to just bring you the divergence, setups, and just only settle for that? Because that's a game that could get boring after a while. But that's what I try to do. But we have kind of opened it up to the other HPS setups also. The coil stochastic, channel breakout, the channel breakout 180 rotation, falling wedge patterns, stuff like that. And lots of times they'll combine. Like here's a PepsiCo. I didn't even see this, and I was going over it today, and I said, why didn't I notice this divergence in Pepsi here? This perfect pullback, cross back up, and look at the big move up here off of that divergence. Big change of trend, and that's what the divergence is usually going to bring you. If you have a divergence and it encompasses a channel, that channel probably will be broken out of it. It's a high probability. That's a good way of measuring the move there. So you have to really, when you see that channel or wedge, and you see it, well, you know, a divergence happen in it, then you can pretty much expect that channel to break out. And when we talk about breakout of that channel, then all we have to do is just, you know, take that out and measure it out. And Verizon, we found this Verizon here back in this channel, and we liked it over here, but it did break down. It did break down, and you know, it came all the way back. But what is defining this breakout of this channel? Again, it's a textbook and a very good, easy defined divergence. The lower low, the higher low, and then the breakout of the channel. Now, you know, I always say that's your measured move, and measured move means your projection. If you take a trade and you're going to try to see where you want to get on this trade, there's certain ways to do that, and certain patterns and certain setups will give you a bigger move, or, you know, at least give you a better idea where you're going. And that divergence works great with a pattern like this. We always break out of the pattern. It usually puts in a bottom, so it's usually a change of trend. So we have to actually take out that downward trend, and we pull back. So it's a good area to look for a much bigger move. And that is, they are setting up. And they set up a lot in different sectors at the same time. You know, last week I think we were looking at, we were looking at the, and these are still actually active. We're looking at the utility stocks. And look at this. Look at that divergence to be able to pull that one out. Nice move. It still looks pretty good. I mean, we haven't broken out of the channel yet. That's why I keep on saying that this has a potential to break out of that channel. So that had a nice one. And then even, you know, some of the drug stocks here, this was an absolutely fantastic one on AMGN here. That low and you can see, again, the bigger move to break out of the channel. And actually, there was a small little downward channel line here. Now, there was a lot going for this, and it continues to look good. Now, that's what we have to hunt out. These are our money makers. You know, this is what we search for every day. You know, we look for this on stocks. We look for this on the overall markets, like the S&P, and that way we could trade the futures against it. We could trade the SPY options against it. We could trade whatever ETFs against it, as long as you know. You understand how much you're looking to get and what you're, you know, what you have to put up for it, and what time frame you're dealing with. Yeah. So let's just continue on fast, and I want to get to the real deal watch list. So we just talked about the utilities, which are still active. You know, the utilities are actually still pretty good. The Budweiser we got out of this week, early in the week, and kind of glad we did that. It did gap up, and we got out on the gap up. It's pulled back since. What other things do we have here? I should review here. Pfizer was another one here. Like Amgen, that gave us a nice divergence. Actually, this is what we call, and I think I labeled this here, it was a mid-pattern divergence. It's not a divergence usually takes out the low of the pattern, but this is inside this channel. But this low and this low and this low and this high was really the divergence here. So we really liked that. We got a nice move. The next day we took it off for a nice profit. And then we continue to like it. Now I'm back in it. So this actually is a, going to be a little longer trade for me, I think. I just like this flagging out. I mean, originally this is our move, and this is what we look for, and that's what, that's the original alert that went out. This was also an HPS alert. So that HPS alert goes on the goes in the site. It gets programmed in, and when the buy trigger is hit, it sends you an email and text message, and when the sell signal or whatever, the stop is hit, whatever comes first, you just get updated. Plus, you go to the site and have an interactive chart with all the notes on it. I don't know if I can pull it up right now. See. So Pfizer has a gold star on it today. And the reason is, this is the setup from Pfizer. It says price went in at 31.70 as entered your buy area. That was December 12th. And then same day it reached its target price. And then click on this. There's a lot of information there for you. So this is where our buy signal is, and then that's where our profit is. And you click on that arrow, it should upgrade. As you can see, it upgraded, blew right through that, and seemed to be holding up okay, pretty much okay. Forget about that loading sign. So yeah. It's funny that it does that. Well, you can see where we are. So it comes with the mid-pattern divergence, strong signal right here, double bottom, the higher low, buy zone, profit zone, and the stop is all set up for you. And again, it's all automated. So you'll get those alerts. So let's get back to our research here portion of this. We're going to start the HPS in a couple more minutes here. Just want to go over some other ones that need to be updated. Market. We also bought Apple this week. Picked up some shares in Apple, and it still looks good. I mean, here's a stock. If you ever saw another divergence in here, you would jump all over. I mean, Apple divergence right there just took off, and right here there was a second divergence on this, and from that point on, it's just moved up. It's just it's Apple. What are you going to do? I mean, I'm not going to put it on the list this week. It's not giving us that signal, but you could look back and say, wow, there are some great signals on great stocks. That's why we always continue to look here. All right, last thing I usually do is I usually go back, take a look at the overall day, take a look at how the signals are. Today wasn't trading the markets too much. I was doing more of the research part. So, right now I've overlaid the tradeometer setups. I was actually tracking those today. So these are the tradeometer setups that came up on the screen. Blue ones are the buy signal, and the blue square ones are the sell signal. And you can see not bad. In the early morning caught the tops. Or caught the little dip here, a nice little pickup there, rip back up here, drifted a little bit lower, but then reversed for plenty of upside there compared to where that alert came in. And same thing here, we made an alert and then kind of rolled over, spiked down, and then built our way back up, and ended up being close pretty much to the bottom there. This one was pretty much right on, nice move up, and then right at the close we got a sell signal, and after hours we kind of drifted and chopped around. Now, there wasn't much going on today. It was a slow drift, and the signals were pretty good. But there was no energy in the market. There was no energy, not too much. So you didn't expect, almost felt like the market could have popped at the end of the day. So the other thing I like to do is to actually go up to go back on the dashboard, members dashboard, and then make sure that I have the RAM body here. Now it's 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute signals. So I want to actually get rid of the 1 minute signals. I just want to have the 3 minute and the 5 minute signals. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to place them in on the chart here. So I'm going to go back down here now. And now that I see where all my signals are. And I'm going to go back and I'll start from end of the day here. The last one was 356. 356, there was a sell signal. Now remember, these are going to be, so whatever time that is, hold on. So it was right around here, I think. Let's see what time that was. It's 24. All right, good. And Let me just fix this fast. I'm sorry to bore you with this. I should have had all these plotted. But what I want to see is there any at the lows or any really good pivot areas that where we have an overlay of the 5-minute or 3-minute and the tradeometer. And how close. And this is almost like a study session for me, because I like to go back and really see that and see how it worked out, and just kind of remind myself that I should always be looking for that 145 with a sell signal. That was a sell signal here. That's actually a pretty good, that's a Rambot 3-minute sell signal. Really nice. That was a nice one. This should be a square also, right? Or is that a buy? Did I say it was a buy or a sell here? Let's say sell. I must not forget. We can go all the way back here. Let's say then 145 at 121. There was a 5-minute buy signal. Wow. It's probably right around. So we had a 5-minute buy signal right there. That's a big one. And we know that our 5-minute buy signals are usually, again, another situation where we probably call the bottom when you have a tradeometer and a 5-minute signal next to each other. So you had a 5-minute signal here, a 3-minute sell signal there. This is at the end of the day. It's very choppy. I mean, that actually could have played out fine. And we go back further. Our first one of the day was a sell signal. It was a 5-minute. I'm looking at the 5 minutes now. And it looks like we had a 5-minute sell signal. At 9:45. Oh. Over here. All right, well, that's enough. I'm boring you now. I got to finish up the video. Anyway, you know what I'm looking for, and there's a lot of good tools to help you with it. Remember, tradeometer, Rambot, combinations, super signals, bigger bottoms, pattern recognition, everything here, everything that's going to show up in the next part of the video. We'll see you Monday.